Hello everyone, in this episode I'm going to teach you about the HTML div element in more detail. So the div element is used as a container for other HTML elements. By default, the div element is a block level element, meaning that it takes all available width and comes with line breaks before and after. So yeah, the div element has no required attributes, but style, class, and ID are commonly used. So I'm gonna show you an example of the div being used as a container. So let's type in div, and inside we'll make an h2 element that will say, for example, New York. And then we'll type in a paragraph that will say New York is on the eastern part of the USA. Alright, and another paragraph that says New York is one of the most populous cities in the US. Okay, so now we have a container. So what exactly does a container mean? I'm gonna show you. Let's add a class of container over here. And let's go open our style sheet and select the dot with dot, the class container, and let's add a background color of pink. So there is our container. Now if we want to, we can add all of these different sections inside other div elements. It will not show any apparent change, but they will be inside other containers then. So just like this. Alright, so now we have a container that has 3 containers inside of it. So div stands for division. Now if I wanted, I could make the middle one, I could give it a class of middle container, and then I could go over here and take the middle container and give it a height of 300 pixels, and the background color could be light green. So there's our middle container, and then there's our top container, here's our bottom container. Then I'm going to show you the lifelong question, how to center a div. Alright, let's get into it. So I'm going to remove these other divs, and we are only left with these paragraphs and the heading. And now I'm going to give the container a width of, let's say, 300 pixels. Alright, now it will stay in the left side of our web page, but if we set the margin to be auto, it will be in the middle, as you guys can see. So you gotta use the width, add a width, and then it will be in the middle. Then we can also have multiple div elements. So I'm gonna enclose this in the div class NY, short for New York. So this is going to go over there. I'm gonna remove the paragraphs. Alright, then I'm gonna add another div with the class of London, h2 London, and another div with the class of Oslo, for example, and h2 Oslo. So now we have 3 div elements inside one big div element. So in total there's 4 div elements. we can go and give all of these a different color. Let's say this one is gonna have a background color of aqua. Then I'm gonna copy this line, add it here. This one is gonna have a background color of chocolate. And then this one is going to have a background color of, let's say, dark gray. So there you guys can see that we have 3 containers and then new containers inside of the big container. If we want to, we can also make these to appear in a row like order. So we're gonna go to the style sheet. We are going to stick or use width 100%, so it will take the width of the entire viewport. So this is the container, this one, the parent container. Then we can use overflow auto, and then we can go to these individual containers. So in this case we'll take the class container and use this larger than sign and use width 33% and float left. So now each one of these elements will take 33%. Actually, let me see. Okay, I don't necessarily need that sign. Okay, so you can type in container and then div afterwards, and it will take every single child element, which is this one, and this one. And it will apply these styles onto every single one of the div child elements that the .container class has. And it only has div child elements. Alright, so now these are in a row layout. There's also different types of ways to do this, but I'm gonna show them in my CSS course or in this course later on. But you can use float left to do this or float right to make them go the other way around. And the width is 33%, so each one will take 33% of the available 100% of the parent container. So if there was, for example, 4 elements, I would set the width to be 25%. If there was 5 elements, it would be 20%, and so on. I'm gonna show you another way to do this, and for that we are only going to need this container. So let's set the width to be 30%, and then the display will be inline block. And also we gotta take the .container and the div elements and use the display inline block. They are all appearing there except for the Oslo. Okay, there we go. Let's set this width to be 100 or 50% at least. There we go. So this is another way to make them appear side by side. Then we have a display flex. So I'm gonna give each of the parent containers elements a width of 33%, and I'm going to be using display flex. So now we have a flex box. Flex box is very commonly used when building websites. So now these are aligned. We can also do align items, center, and justify content. center. So that will align these items to be exactly aligned with each other. Then we have a grid, so let's make the display of this parent container be a display grid, and let's use grid template columns of 33%, 33%, and 33%, and that's what it will look like. So now we got New York, London, and Oslo. Okay, we can also do this similar layout with display flex, but we gotta use the align items center and justify content space around, space between, or space evenly. And we can basically remove this. Alright, I'm gonna show you it now. So space around will look like that. Space evenly will look like that. They will pretty much look the same. And then there's space around, evenly, and space between. So they will look like this. So that's the div element in HTML. I was thinking that at the end of the course we could be creating some kind of a example website so you guys can see how this works in, or how all of this that I have been going through works in practice. So that could be really useful if we create like a clone website or something like that at the end. But anyways, that's div elements shown to you in HTML and CSS. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something new, and any questions, leave them down below, and I hope I'm gonna see you in the next episode, and happy learning. Bye bye everyone.